Welcome to the Masters of Education Internship presentation for Kevin Jones, the spring of 2016 for Oklahoma Wesleyan University. My professional goals are to develop skills to be an effective leader, to gain knowledge of the teaching profession, to further understand legal and ethical issues in education, to assist schools to make systematic changes in programming to positively affect student performance. My teaching philosophy, based upon the years of studying this material, is that the goal of a teacher is to discover the way a student learns and to present information to them in that format in order to bring about a successful understanding. This happens with three basic learning styles: visually, auditory, and kinesthetically. The action project that I completed during this program was to identify students with apathy towards learning and to develop individualized intervention strategies. This graphic artwork represents the plan that I have. This blue line here represents the normal path to high school graduation. That path is broken at some point with some form of apathy. Students no longer care about graduating. They don't have concern for following rules anymore or doing work, and they have this general lack of concern for their own benefit and own education. That apathy tends to lead to dropping out, to drugs or crime or any number of things that distract from the normal educational process. The intervention strategy that I'm going to try to use is identify students with it, develop a strategy that will help them get back on the path and eventually lead to high school graduation. The basis for my action plan was to use Eleanor Gibson's perceptual learning, that essentially students learn in a variety of different ways. Some are auditory learners. They have to hear it before they understand it. Some are visually. These are students that might have to look at YouTube videos to understand the subject. If they want to learn how to do it, they have a hard time reading about it, but they can see it and then repeat it. And this is the way that I'm going to try to reach a lot of students that have some apathy. Also try other things like interactive or kinesthetic things, like they can go to certain places and go on field trips and learn that way. The idea is to present information to students and to allow them to choose which way that they will learn. The way that I design my program is to allow students a choice, whether they want to read it, whether they want to listen to it, or whether they would rather watch videos or information about that subject. So the program that I just developed was students can learn by reading it, listening to it, watching videos with information, or going to the place online or in person. Students can demonstrate understanding by writing about it, telling what they know, submitting videos of what they know, and demonstrating what they have learned. The thing that makes this possible is Broken Arrow Public Schools uses Google Chromebooks and Canvas Learning Management System. This is a good way for teachers to be able to give students assignments in a variety of ways. It's also a good way for students to give their responses to these assignments in a variety of ways. For instance, the Canvas Chromebook have an opportunity to record audio, so students don't have to sit down and write or type out a paper. They can speak it, and it records it on Canvas, and then it submits that recording to me. Or they can video it. All of this is made possible from our one-to-one initiative that we have at Broken Arrow Public Schools to use Chromebooks and Canvas in our school setting. Here's an example of what I did for the students. The project was going to be chapters 14 and 15 in Oklahoma history for 9th grade students at Broken Arrow Public Schools. I designed a website that had all of the information that a student would need for that chapter. For instance, here I would have a link to the textbook. They can read that information if they want to. All the things for the textbook are here at this link. In this area here, I have all of the audio textbooks here in the middle. They can listen to the entire book on tape. They can be driving and they can listen to it, or they could be sitting at home and listening to it, or have their headphones on and listen to it in class. The lecture videos that I have are also additional videos, YouTube clips, and things that I've recorded in class. There's also many different YouTube videos, short clips from history or about people in that time period. The next is the interactive class notes that I have. These class notes have things like primary source documents. It has extended and further reading. It has practice quizzes, many different activities that students can do to further their understanding of the subject. Chapter 15 looks a little bit different. It's the same principle. Links to textbooks here, audio books here, the class notes section here, the interactive class notes, and then the lecture videos, many different lecture videos over this subject area. So students had the ability to either read it, hear it, watch it, or interact with it. This is an example of improvements that I saw in the assignments from the way that the information was presented to students. Chapter 14 crosswords with variable learning styles, with all the different choices the students have. The class average for the assignment for this section was an average score of 14 out of 15 with a total submission of 125. So 125 students completed this section, this paper. To compare this with the assignment before that, Chapter 12 crossword that did not have a variable learning style, was just presented in class through lecture and then assigned for students to do during that day or as homework. The average for the grade was 9 out of 10, but we only had 81 students submit this assignment. Chapter 15 crosswords with variable learning style, the same way. The average score was 10 out of 10 and 124 submissions for this assignment. As comparison with this, Chapter 18, this is the chapter that we did after Chapter 15 that did not have variable learning styles. The average score was 9 out of 10 and 82 students completed the assignment. So what about assessments? What do students get on assessments? Do they retain more of the information? The assessments before the perceptual learning, this is a unit test that we had before perceptual learning. It had a class average of 69%. And this is just from lectures, work from the textbook, reading textbook, and a few other assignments that we did in class. The class average for Chapter 17 assessment, the assessment that we took after the action project plan, 65% class average. So the improvement that we see in the students that use perceptual learning styles, that use those different modes, that they choose which one that they want to learn the information in, the average for that was 88%. So a big rise in this, and that is for Chapter 14 quiz. Chapter 15 quiz, we had an average of 80%. So the information that I see just from this on assignments, many more students did the assignments, many more students learned the information and was able to reproduce it in an assessment that we have, quizzes or unit tests. So the conclusion of the project that I had is students showed improvement in scores up to 18% in some cases when they were provided with options for learning information. Students showed improvements when they could turn in their work in a variety of ways, where they were just speaking it auditorily, or whether they were recording video of themselves, or showing video, or showing their answers, or typing it in a text. Any one of those ways, more students did that. About 50 more students on average did a lot of those assignments. More students participated in assignments when it was provided in a variety of ways. And then when the option for perceptual learning is taken away from students, they revert back to poor achievement. This was the project that I had, and it revealed something very important to me about the way information is presented, but also the teacher's ability to recognize ways that students learn. If a teacher can early on learn that information, the way students perceive information that's given to them, then they'll be much more able to teach them and educate them over that course. This page here shows the artifacts that I have submitted for ELCC Standard 1. The standard dealt with collection and use of data to identify school goals, assessment, organizational effectiveness, and implement school plans for achieving the goals. Each of these are down here in these boxes are one of the artifacts that I submitted to Chalk and Wire. The first one is my apathy research paper that I did. The second one is data collection analysis and shows the project that I did with the Oklahoma history teachers and the government teachers. The next one is notes from a school board meeting that I attended and participated in. The next one is data that we collected from pre-test and post-test and did formative assessments and compared data. The next one is the first page of the interview that I conducted with Miss Coates, the principal at BA Freshman Academy. And the next one is an plan that I devised for Oklahoma history as a somewhat of a pacing guide for them. ELCC Standard 2 deals with applying knowledge that promotes success of every student by sustaining a school culture and instructional program conducted. This is one that I spent a particularly long amount of time on, developing a curriculum for Oklahoma history that had a pacing guide. It had a diagram and chart. It was designed really to help some of the new teachers in our building that teaching Oklahoma history, maybe for the first time, to have a model to follow after. So I created that. These artifacts show this curriculum map for 9th grade Oklahoma history. The next one is a TLE observation that I did in the curriculum class, school programming and scheduling. That just recognizing and further studying of the programming and scheduling of a school. The next one is a school survey that I completed during my courses. Another TLE observation form that I did through evaluating Ms. Daniels. Learning technology, the technology that we've learned and are able to use in school was part of the one-to-one pilot program for the initiative of bringing Chromebooks to our school. 12 here is evaluating of student achievement, being able to read data and to effectively present that data and in ways that we can better teach kids. This bottom line shows supervision of co-curricular education, supervising track during football games and extra work that I had done around the school to learn leadership, staff development, leading a staff development for my Tiger team and also my content area team. 15 is about a change process book that I read, learning information about some of the things that are how to make important changes for individuals and also with institutions and schools. 16 is student discipline. It's a student discipline hearing that I attended and was on a committee to determine if a suspension should be overturned. And then student services, question for former administrators and former teachers. ELCC Standard 3. The information that I have here relies primarily on interviews that I had with several different people. A lead custodian for BA Freshman Academy, an interview with Director of Facilities, Grant Moore, the interview of the Food Service Coordinator for the district, and also the interview with the CFO of Broken Arrow Schools, Dwayne Thompson. I also did some review of school truancy laws and compared that with what we do in our school district and talked to administrators and also in the city for truant officers. ELCC Standard 4. It applies knowledge that promotes success of every student by collaborating with faculty, community members, and responding to diverse community interests and needs. A main part of what I did for this standard is my comprehensive communication plan. I designed this plan specifically for smaller school systems that may have a little more of a personal interactive with members of their community than large school systems. For instance, I teach at a school that has 1,300 students just in my building. This is probably more for a community that has maybe 1,300 students or less in the entire district. So it does a lot for dealing with stakeholders, community businesses, organizations, and interaction with teachers, interacting with administrators and school officials. I created a list of social agencies and community involvement, things that my community has for students or parents of students that have needs, urgent needs. They Arms Around BA Neighbors, the Department of Human Services, different programs that we have, and there's a list of them here in this artifact. I also conducted an interview and a discussion about cultural diversity and what's taught in classroom. I interviewed 2 different teachers, an English teacher and a special ed teacher, about that. And I have some really good information here about preconceived ideas that schools and teachers sometimes have in education. ELCC Standard 5. Several different things that I have in this deal with philosophy of education, analysis of job descriptions, a paper that I wrote in school law, preventing bullying behavior in school. And then also I've included an artifact about principal evaluation system, a guide to understand what a principal is, how a principal is evaluated and what they need to produce when they do that job. This standard here and these artifacts represent my knowledge of the moral and legal consequences of decision-making in school systems. ELCC Standard 7. What I've included in this is my internship log, the hours that I have collected to reach 240 hours. My actual hours are probably much more than this, but this is demonstratable work that I have done in this. And I matched all of these with an ELCC standard. The last page is my 38 areas of leadership that I completed during this program. These include things like interviews, attending board meetings, extra training, supervising different programs, students, and activities, learning the subject, doing in-depth research on the job description and many aspects of being a leader. This concludes my Master's of Education internship presentation. Thank you for watching.